Today we're going to be talking about quantum abundance. We're going to be talking about aligning our energy to finances, to money, but I also want to talk about different kinds of abundance and other ideas that I think are important, like the idea of we receive what we need, not what we want. And then with that in mind, the importance of connecting with the curiosity. Because if we enter with the curiosity about what do I need to learn here, why am I receiving this, maybe we can learn something, maybe we can transform that negative experience into something that we can use for growth. So when we are talking about finances, sometimes we may not receive what we want, but maybe we are receiving what we need. And I'm happy to give some examples about that. And also, before getting started, I would like to hear from you what abundance means. Not only financial abundance, but what does abundance mean to you? What kind of definition do you have in your mind, or how do you describe abundance? When do you know that you are abundant? And I'm curious to know what that is for you, and then I'm happy to share what that is for me, and then give you a couple of definitions. But yeah, feel free to share in the chat if you have any definitions that you would like to share. And then when we talk about abundance, money is a form of abundance, absolutely, but there are many other kinds of abundance too. So Joanne says, hello, abundance means love, living life. Amazing, love and living life. Yeah. Abundance is having your physical and emotional needs met. Amazing. Free to live my life without worrying about money and health and healthy family. Freedom of time, Anna says. Tammy says, when I am in recognition of my blessings, I'm with graduation. So recognizing what's working and what you are grateful about. Hi, Elena. Gratitude, no graduation. Okay. With gratitude, yeah. Ray says, abundance is limitless, infinite energy and expansion. I like that. Yeah, Ray, that's amazing. Catherine says, abundance for the means having more than enough of something. Amazing. Yeah, I love it. And it's really important to understand and to be curious about what abundance means to you and how, because that's gonna dictate how you feel. And when we look at the emotional attachment that we have to abundance, to money, or to any other specific form of abundance, it's going to really help you understand from a quantum perspective how you are aligning with that. And if there are any blockages, any belief systems that are contradictory, or anything that you believe is bad, or it's not good, or it's not safe, but we're going to dive into that in a little bit. Abundance for me means having more than enough of something. I think I read that one already. Blissful Light says abundance means connected to Godness, beneficial to all. Amazing. So I like that community aspect of something bigger than just you. Thank you for bringing that, Blissful Light. Yeah, so one definition that I like of abundance is being able to do what you need or what you want when you need it. So basically, being able to do what you need when you need it. That's abundance. That's one definition, right? So you don't have to have more, you don't have to have less. There is not a specific thing that you need. It's just basically as you move through life, your needs are being met moment to moment to moment. And of course, that's going to be different for each person because we are all in a unique journey of exploration, of expression, expansion, whatever you want to call it. And then as we move through that, we are going to need money. We're going to need a place to live. We're going to need food. We're going to need relationships. We're going to need maybe teachers, maybe books, maybe help, maybe inspiration, creativity, connection, safety, etc. So abundance can mean having what you need when you need it, so that you can do what you need when you need it. And that doesn't have to have a specific price tag when it comes to money. So that's one definition that I really like. But the idea of abundance as something that is limitless, the idea of you don't having to worry about having your needs met, the idea that you don't have to even look at your bank account and you can go and buy what you need and you don't have to even look at how much it costs, that feels like abundance too, right? So yeah, it's important to connect with these definitions. And now I would like to ask, what kinds of abundance can you think of? Because money is one symbol, one way of defining abundance. You can have financial abundance in the form of physical money in your bank account, or you are earning that. But what other kinds of abundance do you have in your life, do you want, or you are aware of? Because many times being aware of all these different kinds of abundances can help you step into, as some of you were mentioning, wow, I'm really grateful that I have this. Wow, I'm really abundant in this. I'm really abundant in that. And from a quantum perspective, everything is abundant, right? You are always abundant. The law of attraction states that you are always going to attract more of what you are asking for, what you are vibrating as. And you can be abundant in anything. So you can be abundant in lack. You can be abundant in pain. You can be abundant in suffering, or you can be abundant in joy. So you can be abundant in anything that you want. So from a quantum perspective, remember that we are creating abundance where we are placing our attention. So if we are focusing on things that are quote unquote negative or heavier or darker, you are abundant in that, because that's where you are putting your energy and attention. If you are putting your energy and attention in something else, that is going to amplify and it's going to become abundant. So becoming aware of what abundance means to you and really placing your attention in that is going to help amplify that. So abundance in joy and appreciation, abundance of leisure time, time, space, freedom, and love, peace, home, resourcefulness, and all that is good, like true joy. Abundance of freedom to help others. So the idea of volunteering, giving back, being abundant in that. Love from family and friends, including partner. So the abundance of love, the abundance of presence from other people, the abundance of connection, abundance of feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling cared for, quality time. Beautiful. Amazing. So now that we have connected with these different kinds of abundances, we are connecting with the idea that we can be abundant in many different things, not just the money aspect of things, and the definition of abundance, right? Like being able to do what we need to do when we need to do it, or being able to do what we want when we want to do it. From that definition, now I want to look at emotional attachment to abundance. And this can apply to financial abundance, okay, money, and I have examples about money, but you can apply the same concept to any kind of abundance. And you can discover your emotional attachment to, for example, connection with a partner, quality time with your children, volunteering to other people. So you can use any kind of abundance to discover what emotional attachment do you have to that. Okay, so for example, if we talk about money, many times money is it's rarely about money. So I guess your reaction or your expression or your feelings about money, majority of the times, is not about the money itself. It is about what money represents for you. Okay? So for some people, money can represent safety. For other people, money can represent freedom. I am free to go whenever I want, live wherever I want, eat whatever I want. The safety piece means if I have enough money, I'm going to be safe. So there is that belief system and that emotion attached to money. For some other, money means love, power, belonging, survival. So it's very important to notice how, for example, money in this case activates you emotionally. Because how you get activated emotionally from a quantum perspective, that is what you are going to vibrate. That is what you are going to attract more of, because that's what's present with you. So if we think about money, for example, in my own experience, when I think about money, I connect money to safety. And if I don't have enough money, if I sense I don't have enough money, I feel unsafe in myself. And this is a connection that I'm working on breaking and slowly learning more about it. But that is something that comes up for me. That is a tendency that I have. And I know that that's coming because in my family, that was the relationship that they had. And last week, we were talking about generational trauma and belief systems. And as you can imagine, we learned a lot about abundance when we were growing up, from our parents, from the people who raised us, from everything around us. So we develop specific belief systems, and that has an impact in our nervous system, has an impact in our emotions, how we feel, and it has an impact in how we vibrate. And then how we vibrate, if we follow the law of attraction, we are going to attract more of how we are vibrating. So if we are feeling unsafe, unconsciously we are going to attract situations that are going to feel us more of that. So we're going to feel more unsafe. And we're going to look at reality from the point of view of how reality makes us feel unsafe. If we connect with the idea of money is easy to make, I feel uplifted when I think about money, and money allows me to be free, and you truly feel joy and freedom, and you associate that to the money, all of a sudden you are going to feel that way, and emotionally you are going to vibrate that, and you're going to attract more of that. You're going to attract more joy, more freedom, more money, because you are feeling that way. And you are going to attract opportunities, you're going to attract jobs, you're going to see life from that lens of freedom. So yeah, so what are some of these wounds? What are some of these limiting beliefs that we learn, that we may be carrying with us? And maybe some of those are not even ours. They are coming from past generations, but we have that reaction in our nervous system, right? Marjorie says, my parents always use money to control and coerce. Yeah, Marjorie, thank you for sharing that. So I can imagine that if you saw that, probably the connection that you made to money is a tool to be used to control, to manipulate, to coerce, to do something that is bad and you don't agree with. You are not aligned with doing that. So when we are little, we don't have capacity to reflect and make different choices. We absorb that. And then we create that belief. And that impacts how we relate to that specific form of abundance, in this case, money, right? LJ says, my parents argued about money and talked scarcity. Yeah, so I guess the invitation for you guys that are starting to share what I was going to ask next, and this is very intuitive, so thank you for that, is what was the impact for you when you experienced that environment, when you were seeing that? Like, when you think about money, what do you feel in your body? And this is for Marjorie and LJ, if you want to share, because you share specific examples. Like, what is the emotion that arises What is the tendency? What do you normally feel when you are thinking about money? I'm curious to know. And I'm happy to share some of the common money wounds and energetic tones so that you can be aware. But I'm curious to know if you want to share what that is for you. In my case, I can see that I connect money with safety. I was raised, my parents were not rich. I learned that you need to work hard to make money. I learned that responsibility is first and then you can have fun. So I learned the idea of separating responsibilities from having fun. And then for me, that formed the connection that I have to work doing something that I don't like. And I have to work hard so that I can earn money. And then when I do that, then I can have fun. And of course, as you see, I'm here. I have challenged that and I have worked for myself and I have integrated joy and purpose into my work. But it took a few years for me to be able to do that. And still now, sometimes I feel guilty. It's like I'm not doing enough. So these are some examples of my own experience and how I was raised and what I learned. So Ray says, LJ says, I have worried about money my entire life. So tension and anxiety. Yeah, it makes sense, LJ. Ray says, I appreciate Marjorie saying that because that's something I experienced but didn't realize I did until now. That's amazing, Ray. Thank you for sharing that. And this is how powerful sharing can be, right? When you can be vulnerable and you can share your own experience, many people are going to relate and you are going to probably help others realize things about themselves that maybe they didn't even know. So this is why sessions like this are so powerful. Marjorie said, I avoid dealing with financial paperwork. Yeah, of course you do. It makes total sense because you associate finances with something that is bad, something that is heavy and negative. Patrick says, I never worried about money even if I was not earning much. Yeah, that's interesting, Patrick, that is such a nice feeling to be able to have, right? To detach not having money with how you feel is so powerful that you could do that from an early age. So it's amazing. In capitalist societies and places that were built on enslavement, labor have very distorted understandings of money. Yeah. I also learned that you have to work for someone else forever and only have fun when you are retired. Yeah, Ray, of course, because that was the reality for many of our family members, right? Work hard, work for the same company for your entire life. And then if you are lucky and you are healthy enough, when you retire, you will have time to have fun. Yeah. I had to work at jobs that were not pleasant and never had problems finding work. Amazing. Yeah, I have avoided opportunities and asking for help because of hyper-independence culture. Yeah. So these are some examples, and I want to share some other kind of common money wounds. And again, I'm talking about money, but this can be applied to any kind of abundance, okay? So this can be applied to receiving love. This can be applied to receiving presence from another person, from experiencing quality time with a loved one. This can be applied to receiving gifts from people that are not money, but it's something that someone gives you, receiving help, etc. Okay? So there is a safety wound can be one. So if I don't have money, I am not safe. So there is a dependence here. And it's interesting how Patty, for example, she had a different experience, right? She didn't connect money to safety. So it doesn't matter how much she was earning, that didn't impact her in her nervous system. So that is wonderful. But for some other people, that not may be the case. And this is all about being curious, okay? Being curious about what is coming up for you, how do you feel, and how can we maybe change the narrative? And another emotion can be so if I don't have enough money and I don't feel safe, what I'm going to experience in my nervous system can be fear, can be hypervigilance, can be controlling and micromanaging, can be reactiveness. So I have those many times. When I'm not grounded, sometimes if I feel that we are overspending, my partner is buying something that I think is unnecessary, I feel unsafe in my nervous system, and I may have reactions that are illogical. But in that moment, I am feeling unsafe. And I'm learning how to be okay with that, how to understand that, and how to regulate that. But that was the feeling in my body many times. There is another one that is a worthiness wound. So not feeling worthy. So I have to earn love or value. So you don't feel abandoned, you don't feel worthy of receiving any of that. And this applies to any form of abundance. So many times we self-sabotage because we don't feel deserving. So the emotion is shame. Shame is one, striving. So that is kind of like there is something wrong with me. I am not good enough to receive this. And then there is the control wound. This one is if I don't control money, everything will fall apart, for example. So this is another one. The emotion here is anxiety. You feel anxious, you have to control, you feel out of control. You feel unsafe if things are not under control by you. So the vibration is rigidity and hoarding and accumulating, right? And I see myself reflected in pretty much all of this, to be honest, in some areas of my life when it comes to abundance. A belonging wound. If I have more or less, I won't fit in. So the emotion is guilt, loyalty, conflict, and the vibration is self-limiting. And this can apply for both scales of the, so if I don't have enough, I don't fit in. If I have too much, I won't fit in. Many times we are afraid of success. We are afraid of having too much of something because we are afraid that we're going to change. We are afraid of how others are going to see us in that experience. And there is an association there. Again, there is always an association, a belief that is going to make us feel a specific way. And that's why it's so interesting to be curious. This is why the executive functioning skill of metacognition, that this is your ability to think about how you think, to see yourself from the distance, to become the observer, to pause, to detach, and then to notice what's happening. Because when you can do this, the more you can do this, the more you can see the pattern, the more you can see the limiting belief, the more you can listen to that inner voice that is telling you something that is not true. And then the sooner you can do that, the sooner you can then change that, question that, and reframe it in a way that makes more sense for you, so that you are not unconsciously conflicted or self-sabotaging yourself because there is a conflict of belief systems here. On one side, you believe that you need money to live, and on the other side, you believe that money is going to create control and fear or whatever, and then they don't fit with each other in your brain, and you are always kind of like conflicted, right? Yeah. So let me see what you guys are sharing. Earning power can get equated with self-worth, shame, and burden if you don't. Yeah. Growing up, we had a successful family business, and that helped me have a good attitude about money and self-reliance. That's amazing, Anna, that you were able to have that positive experience. And I am sure that that created a positive impact probably in your life moving forward. It's a paradox, hyper-independence in a codependent society. Societies that have been taught to value separation often experience this paradox. This has been what I have noticed. Thank you for sharing that, BD. Ray says, I also experienced the controlling reaction. Yeah, me too, Ray. Spot on, Ray, same. it's worth it. It's worth it to get at the root of why these collective patterns exist. Yeah, that's also something that I am just now healing fully. The belief of having too much money will make me different. Yeah. And there is also the idea that any kind of abundance is just energy. So if you look at money, you look at love, you look at quality time, you look at freedom, you look at presence. If we can look at them as neutral, majority of the times they are going to amplify what's already in us. So no matter what kind of abundance you are choosing, if we choose money, because this is the topic of today's session, money is going to amplify in you what exists in you. Meaning, whatever associations, whatever conditioning, whatever belief systems you have that are evoking a specific emotion in you, money is going to amplify that. So the more you have, the more it's going to get amplified. And that's why it's important to really get in touch with this, to do this work of being curious and understanding where is this coming from, and understanding that sometimes this is not yours. In my experience, I feel tight about money and I feel unsafe if I don't have enough. And if I look at my life, I never experienced lack. My family always had enough. I always had food. I always had a shelter. I always earned enough money to live. So I didn't have a traumatic experience that made me feel this way. So when I experience this, it's like, where is this coming from? Why am I so afraid of going to zero? Why am I so afraid? And why am I so connected? Why do I connect my self-worth and safety so much to money? And I'm sure that this is coming from one generation previous to my parents. They experienced a civil war in Spain. They did experience a lot of poverty, and they didn't have anything to eat. And so it was a very different time. And I'm sure that I am carrying some of that still today. And I am doing the work of reframing and changing the beliefs from that experience. So yeah, it's just interesting to be aware also of your roots, of your family systems, family beliefs. What did they go through, and how did they deal, and what was their relationship with this abundance, this money? So yeah, and what if having too much money turned us into generous, benevolent beings beyond imagination? It could go that way too. Yeah, BD, this is the example that I was saying, that having too much money, it's going to amplify what's in you already. So if you are a generous person and your tendency is to give, you will give way more. If you are a person that is controlling and you have a hard time letting go because you feel unsafe, the more money you have, the more you will need to control, and the more it will get amplified. And unless we do the work of becoming aware of those things and changing that in a way that feels aligned, everything is going to get amplified in whatever way it already exists in you, because it is an energetic imprint that you have. It's like a software that you have, and the more you compute that software, the more it's going to be doing its job. So curiosity and compassion are always what's needed in these cases, and to be curious and to understand, what do I need to learn from this experience? And hopefully you will find a more aligned way to deal with this. Patrick says, I started working as a child. I delivered papers on my bike, mow neighbors' lawns, babysat, and if I wanted clothes, I had to buy them myself. Yeah, so Patrick, you had the opportunity to learn from an early age to be responsible, to make your own money. And I'm sure there are pros and cons to that experience, as there is with any other experience. But that experience made you more mature way earlier than probably other people that didn't have to do any of that. So I'm sure there are benefits from doing that. And I am also sure that there are negative things that maybe you absorb from that experience, right? Ray says, yes, it's scientifically proven that experiences, traumas are passed down. Yeah, like I was talking about this in a past live, that I was talking about quantum generational trauma and quantum healing, right? And I was talking about how epigenetics has proven that there are gene expressions that are passed on, but it's also true that the environment, relationships, and there are a lot of components in your life, in your experience, that can make that gene express one way or the other. So it is not all passed down and you don't have a choice. There is a lot of environmental factors that can take into place. And being mindful, using your metacognition skill, practicing meditation, becoming the observer, being curious, not reacting, like nurturing all these capacities will help you make a more conscious choice when it comes to all these things. Yeah, the closer we are to knowing how to work the earth and how the earth works, we can feel less fear around having paper money. Yeah, resources is key. Yeah, exactly, Vidya. If you think about money, money is something that we invented and we gave it a lot of meaning, because money opens the doors to many things, right? But it's true, if we were to decide we are dropping money, money is worthless right now, and it will be worthless. It's just paper. So we gave it the meaning. We gave it the all these connections. So we can totally change that too if we wanted to. Yeah, so I have a little reflection exercise if you guys are open to it. It's just a complete the sentence. Okay? So I will read a sentence and then you can type in the chat the word or the couple words that you feel. You guys ready? So the first one is, if money disappeared tomorrow, I will feel. So if money disappeared tomorrow, I will feel, and you can fill in the blank. And save. Interesting, Patrick. So if money disappeared tomorrow, I will feel unsafe, stressed, relieved, curious. Just as the value of a currency fluctuates depending on levels of confidence between and without a country. Terrified, exhausted, happy because I feel a lot of people will meet themselves again. Yeah, it's interesting to read your answers, right? And then the next one. Money allows me to feel blank. Money allows me to feel blank. Secure. Generous. Relationships will have to grow. Freedom. Yeah, in my case, money allows me to feel safe, free, secure, probably generous too, able to pay bills and more, energized, fully capable. Amazing. Then the next one. Without money, I fear. Without money, I fear. And then you fill in the blank. So without money, I fear to feel like I have another resource, to be a burden, being homeless, loss of independence, homelessness. yeah, so this exercise can help you really connect with the energetic blueprint that you have around this topic. Lack of choices, Marjorie says. Nothing, Ray says. So when you answer these questions, you can connect with how you feel, and you can connect with the belief that is in there for you. Yeah, I'm just curious if you guys have any specific questions before we keep going. So far we have talked about the idea of abundance in the form of money, but also all the different kinds of abundances that we can access and that we can receive. We have talked about the definition of abundance, being able to do what you need to do when you need to do it, or being able to do what you want when you want to do it. I also talked about the idea of what if you are not receiving what you want, but you are receiving what you need? And then stepping into that curiosity and into that learning about what do I need to learn from my current situation when it comes to money? Why am I where I am at? And then you always have things to learn, and maybe everything is happening for you so that you can grow in the way that you need. So stepping from that curiosity, then we did the exercises of connecting with what's present in us, because any form of abundance is neutral, and any form of abundance is going to amplify in you what it's already inside of you. So becoming aware of what's inside of you and what is getting activated, it's how you can find out the energetic vibration that you are becoming in the form of this abundance, so that you can be curious and you can then kind of reprogram yourself, reframe yourself, become aware of what's happening, and then from that choose something different, hopefully make a different connection. So instead of maybe money equals chaos and control, maybe money equals possibility to make less chaos and control, because I can do more things if I have enough money. And then you change the connection that you have in there, and then it becomes inspiring. And when you think about money, for example, a different belief will get amplified. So I'm just curious to know if there are any comments, any specific questions before we keep moving. And if there are not any questions, I have another kind of reflection exercise to keep digging into what is the energetic blueprint that you have inside of you when it comes to money and finances. So let's do that. And if you have a question, you can just type it in the chat. But basically, some core discovery questions, okay? So what did money mean in my family? And this is something that you can type in the chat if you want. So what did money mean in my family? So Catherine says, if the emotional attachment is security, is that harmful to amplify? Catherine, it's always your choice. So once you become aware of what is that emotional attachment for you, then you can choose if it feels aligned with you or not. If you have a secure attachment to money, that means that if you get more money, you are going to feel more secure, right? And you're going to amplify that security in different forms. So I will say that probably it's a good thing, because you are ready to probably hold more. You are ready to become more abundant in that field, in the money aspect, because it's not going to make you collapse. You don't have a contradiction. You don't have a limiting belief that is telling you money is evil. Money creates separation. Money creates manipulation, etc. You don't have any of those contradictions. So you are going to use money in the way that you want, and it feels good for you. So I will say that it's great. So it was important to earn. So to the question, what did money mean in my family? It was important to earn. It meant pain and failure. Amazing. So this is another clue in probably some connections that you have about money that you learned, and you can get curious about them. You can also ask some other questions that you can entertain. Who worried about money? Who worried about money? And then you can become aware of that. Maybe your mom was a secure money attachment, and maybe your father was always worried, and then he transferred to you that fear. In my relationship with my partner, I am the one who is worried normally, and she's very uplifted and very, it doesn't impact her as much, but I am the one who is worried. So I'm sure my daughter Eva probably will sense that, and will probably notice that, oh wow, my father is more worried about money than my mom is, and probably he behaves differently than what my mom does. So who controlled it? Who controlled the money when you were growing up, right? Who had the power, and what did that mean to you? Did that mean limitation? Did that mean safety? Did that mean, I don't know, expansion, or the opposite? Who avoided it? So who in your family avoided money altogether? And then again, become aware of, what did I learn from that person? What was the impact of me seeing that in myself? And what are the beliefs that I'm carrying? What did I learn about myself, about the world, about money in that experience? And how am I carrying that now? How is that impacting me now? So this is, again, curiosity, compassion. This is not about pointing the finger. This is not about blaming anyone. This is just about you becoming aware of what you were influenced by who, by the environment, and the impact that that had in you. Another one that I think is good: what emotion am I trying to avoid or create through money? So what emotion am I trying to avoid or to create through money, right? So in my experience, I am trying to avoid feeling unsafe, and I am trying to create freedom, safety, flexibility, even joy, I would say. So yeah, that's what's coming up for me. BD says anxiety and peace. Yeah, Champa, to the question about the money, it's for others, not us. So that's where you learn that money was for others, not for yourself. Yeah, another one. What do I believe money will finally fix? So what do I believe that money will finally fix? And again, this is another question that is going to allow you to connect what it means to have more money and what the money is going to amplify in you. Right? Another one: what scares me about having more? What scares me about having more money? And this touches on what we talked before, the idea of not belonging anymore. If I have too much money, I will not belong anymore with my family, with my friends, with the society I am in. Or if I have more money, I will become a mean person, or I will become controlling, or I will. So these are all the fears that you have inside. And most likely, you are touching on something that will get amplified, most likely, if you have more. So it's a clue again, it's a clue for you to understand, oh wow, That's inside of me. That is a belief system I have, and it's an opportunity for you to look at it from a place of curiosity. And then you can do the same question, but the opposite, right? What scares me about having less? What scares me about having less money? And again, what comes up for you? For me, what scares me about having less money is others thinking or worrying about me and my safety, me not having a choice of where I live, what I eat, me not being able to be free to move and to maybe go to Spain to see my family or travel to a place I want to travel. So the idea of lack of freedom scares me if I have less money. Not being able to give my daughter opportunities that with money I will be able to. So there are many things that are coming up, but these questions are really powerful and they can help you tap into these core beliefs. So I'm curious to know what's coming up for you. Are you enjoying learning and becoming aware of these things? Is this too much? I'm curious to know, what exactly do you mean by emotional attachment? As something neutral or? So blissful light, so the emotional attachment to money, or again to any other kind of abundance, it's how you react. Okay, how you react to money. Having more, having less, not having enough, having too much. All those scenarios is going to evoke an emotion in you. As some people share, some people feel safe with more money, some people feel unsafe if they don't have enough. Some people connect money to controlling, money to manipulating. Some people connect money to the idea of being more generous and doing something good in the world. So the emotional attachment is just understanding the belief systems that you have around money and how money impacts you, emotionally speaking. So the same way that if we look at attachment theory in a relationship, you have the avoidant, you have the anxious, you have the secure attachment style, and then you have the disorganized attachment style that is a mixture of them. But basically, in a relationship, the avoidant style is going to have the tendency to avoid, to escape, to create distance, right? The anxious attachment is going to have the tendency to grab, to want to be together, to be anxious if they are separated. The avoidant is going to feel anxious if they are too close to each other. So these are all archetypes, energetic blueprints on how we emotionally react. In this case, in relationships, it is the same idea with money. It is the same idea with any kind of abundance. You take love. This is a kind of abundance. What is your emotional attachment to love? So how do you react emotionally when you are being loved? Can you receive it? Are you attaching being loved by someone with danger, with feeling a threat? Are you attaching being loved by someone with safety, with security, freedom? So when someone is loving you, do you feel free or do you feel limited? And this is all an archetype. This is all limiting beliefs, conditioning, stories that we have learned, that it's helpful and it's really nice to look at them. It's really nice to understand what they are and then to consciously choose if you want to heal them, change them, reframe them or not. So that's what I mean by emotional attachment to money. And and then something neutral something neutral, it's ideally it will be neutral, right? Ideally, in the worst case scenario, money, it's neutral and then you choose how you use it. So when you think about money, it is not activating anything in you because you are aware, and then you consciously will choose how to use the money, and it will be a neutral transaction. But the reality is that that's not the case for the majority of the people. We always have an activation. And this applies to, again, money, relationships, love, feeling safe, etc. So it's very important to really understand and be curious about what's inside of you and how you react. Because how you react emotionally, somatically, many times unconsciously, it is that dictating your energetic frequency. And from a quantum perspective, where you are focusing your attention and your intention is where energy is flowing. And the law of attraction states that like attracts like. So if you are unconsciously reacting, experiencing an emotion, vibrating that way, you are going to create more of that. You are going to see life from that lens of whatever emotion is present for you in that moment. So that's why it's so important to try and become more aware, to try and bring those things to the consciousness, to try to question these beliefs, these stories that we believe them to be true. And our nervous system somatically, regardless of your logic, your nervous system is reacting a specific way. And sometimes you cannot control that yet because you are not aware of it, but it is being impacted. So I hope that this answered your question. So passing on the feeling of lack and insecurity to my kids has been a big one for me. Yeah, Champa, and remember, we all do the best that we can with what we have. I don't believe no one is doing intentional damage to our kids. We are always doing the best we can with what we have. But it is true that we have the opportunity to become curious. And all of you who are here are curious. You are here in the session. You are willing to look at this. So that is an amazing, huge step. Champa says, are both connected, love and money? For some people, I'm sure they are. For some people, they are not. But what I can tell you, Champa, is I will say that majority of the times, if you do this exercise with love, how you receive love, how you give love, and you do this exercise with money, most likely you're going to have different emotions show up. And of course, if you combine them, I'm sure there is a relation. I'm sure there is a belief system between money and love for some people, absolutely. But again, this is going to be different for each of you, each of us. So money is part of the currency of resources. Anything can be currency. We create the value. Yeah, BD. I really like that. The energy of money and love is what we put in on it, and that is mutable. Yeah, totally agree with that. What you talked about last week, Emilio, was so helpful about a nervous system activation. That's just how has to run its course. Yeah, Anna, absolutely. And many times there is a difference between doing logical work and doing somatic work. And sometimes we logically understand a concept. We logically are making a choice, but our body is not following suit yet. Our body is reacting differently. And this is where sometimes there is this disconnection, right? You want to change, you want to create a habit, you want to change a limiting belief, but there is something stuck in your body that is making you react differently because of a trauma, a memory you had, and it's just stuck in your system. And it's impulsive, it's unconscious, can't control it, keeps happening, and you just don't know what to do with it. And doing this exercise slowly is going to help you tap into more depth and more depth and more depth until hopefully at one time it will pop. And that's why approaching this from different angles, today we are taking a very theoretical, logical kind of way, but we can use somatic tools. We can do some tapping. We can do some breath work. We can do some visualization. We could do some like yin yoga with the intention of connecting with a specific emotional attachment that we are noticing about money, and then do that session just with that intention. You can do meditation. So there are so many different approaches to this. Some are somatic, some are more mental, some are more emotional, but it's important to really keep trying. I want to do this exercise with my family. It's wonderful if you can do that. And the same way that we are having amazing conversations here and people are learning from each other, I am learning from you guys, you are learning from me, like this is such a rich interaction. So imagine if you can bring that to your partner, to your family members, to your friends, and you can have this conversation. And I can tell you that people are dying for this, for depth, for truth, for someone strong enough, courageous enough to hold space for these things to happen. So the same way that I'm holding this container today and I'm creating this space and you guys can show up and we can all be sharing and vulnerable, imagine if you can take a piece of this and then you can do that in your surroundings, in your environments, with your families, with your friends. And then all of a sudden you are activating everyone, you are helping everyone, becoming more aware of these things. Very powerful if you guys do that. Very curious about this topic. I know several people who are overly concerned about not having enough money, yet they are actually very wealthy. Their energy has not been abundant, yet they are financially wealthy. And we are talking about different kinds of abundance here, right? Some people are very abundant financially and they are very depleted physically and energetically. Some people are buzzing with energy, enthusiastic, amazing, and they have not a dime in the bank and they are still. So there are different kinds of abundance. And sometimes, that's why I was saying at the beginning, sometimes you may receive what you need, not what you want. And for some people, having more money or less money is irrelevant because they can do their work with other kinds of abundance. And for some other people, it's the opposite. So very interesting to be able to step into different points of view and really connect with what's happening from a different perspective. Amazing, guys. And this is the end of the live for today. If you enjoyed, of course, I will receive your donations with gratitude and your abundance with gratitude. I hope that I planted some seeds. I hope that this helped you. And I'm sure that this is going to have a ripple effect in people around you if you are willing to step up and if you feel excited to share this and to do these exercises. And again, remember that these exercises, this idea, this approach applies to any kind of abundance, not just money. This can be applied to love, how you receive and give. This can be applied to presence, quality time. This can be applied to friendships, to any area of life. So just remember that. Okay? Emilio, can we have access to the list of questions? BD, I can type them in the circle if you want. So I have a circle. It's called Your Thriving Lifestyle. I'm happy to copy and paste them in the circle so that you guys can read them there. Okay? And I can also paste them in the description of my podcast. I have a podcast where I will upload this recording, so I can copy and paste those questions into the podcast description, okay? So that you can have some of them. But if you go to Google, you go to ChatGPT, you go to anywhere, and you type, what are some questions to bring up attachments to money, questions to reflect about money beliefs, money stories, etc., you will find lots of questions, okay? But I will do that. I will share them in my circle and in the podcast description. Your Thriving Lifestyle, okay? That's the name of the circle on Inside Timer and of my podcast too. Okay? Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for your donations. As always, I really appreciate them, and feel free to come back next week if you enjoy this session. And amazing. Thank you, Thierry. I just entered later. I will join your group and listen. to your podcast. Just 3 minutes home. Amazing. Have an amazing weekend, guys, and hope to see you next week if you can make it. Okay? Adios, guys.